Your old or broken phone can let you down when you need it most.
Perfect.
But at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get the most for it, up to $2,000 in value, for an amazing new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and a new line on My Plan, and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1. And you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.
Talk, a No Facts, All Feelings wrestling podcast on the Social Suplex Network. I'm Allie.
I'm Ann.
And I'm Leah.
How is everybody doing? She said, knowing the answer already. Really well. Really good.
Yeah, amazing.
Super good.
I think we all really struggled with this week.
Our bodies are not doing their best work.
No. And that's not,
Sign up for the medical Patreon to learn that,
And we don't have time to unpack all that. I had something exciting to tell you guys that I waited today to tell you on air.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's not that exciting, and our listeners won't care. But I'm really excited that I joined you guys in watching The Pit. I'm watching The Pit now.
Hell yeah!
Yay!
That is exciting.
I know. I think it's exciting. It's not exciting for them, but it's exciting for me. I did not
Do you
realize.
like it?
Yeah, of course I'm addicted. I'm 8 episodes in. I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah.
I did not realize that it was doing that 1 hour per episode 24 format. That is fun.
It is fun, yeah.
I believe that's the basis for their argument that they're not ripping off ER, because they're like, we're doing actually a very cool different thing.
I think that's a pretty reasonable argument. Like, it's like every show about being in an ER is an ER.
I agree. I stand with John Carter, of course.
Yeah.
Me too.
It is just nice to see what John Carter's up to 30 years later with it. He changed his name and moved cities, but otherwise.
And I think it's a really brave choice to say John Carter had a really rough life. He's sad and he's tired and his shoulders are eternally a little slumped and he's got
It's really funny to me that you guys have this point of reference for that actor. But my point of reference is that at some point in the past 4 years, I watched all of that really bad sci-fi show, The Librarians. No. Or is that the one he's in? He's in one of the bad sci-fi shows. I think it's that one. Or it's called, like, The Archives, or I don't know. He's on one of them, and that's what I know him from.
That's pretty incredible because ER really was a cultural phenomenon. And
I know.
Yeah.
Well, when I was doing the schedule today, I was like, I can't watch The Pit because I want to watch that. And I'm also watching 30 Rock, and I'm like, can't watch that because it's like too fun to watch while trying to do something. But I had to put something on. So I was like, well, I know that my friends also have been rewatching ER. I've never seen a single episode. I'll put on the pilot of ER because I don't think I'll be that interested in it, which I wasn't. It's really great. I believe that it could become interesting, but it's really background.
The pilot is
a bit of a
dense.
slog.
Yeah, you have to get through the pilot. I don't know what they were doing there, but they were like, it was like presented like a Lord of the Rings, like where they were like hovering over each person, and you're like, okay, this is a lot. I can't handle this much.
I can't figure out what the tone of the show. And again, I've never seen one single episode of ER. I can't figure out what the tone of the show is. I'm like, I don't really know what it's going to be. I know it's going to be about an ER. I have to imagine. But
it's kind of like capitalism sucks, working class life sucks.
Yeah.
Everything. Like
They're
living
really
in Chicago
tired.
is against you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always cold and they're always getting woken up out of a dead sleep after like 2 hours and being like, oh God. There's a lot of shots of them like kind of rubbing their eyes and getting out of bed. I remember that because I was in high school while it was airing.
Riveting
and
stuff.
I was also really tired. I was just like, this
Relatable.
is relatable.
And it's kind of the opposite of House, where you, like, you know how House was always like, and this person has the exotic, like, you know, Cambodian zebra striped flu or something, you know? And ER is always like, yeah, he stuck something up his butt again. Did you get it out? Like every single episode is like, yeah, this is what it's like.
Yeah, it's very realistic. I feel like to an ER compared to your Grey's Anatomies and your more.
Oh, you don't think Grey's Anatomy is a realistic TV program?
There's a lot less doctors boning one another in the unlocked on-call room on ER.
That's a little disappointing
but
to
not,
hear.
Hey, not none.
Not
none, but less.
I know from you guys that at some point there's a road trip in ER.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for that. I wish it were all road trips.
Yeah, there's a very good episode with George Clooney and
that's
so John Carter is Noah Wyle. I think I started saying this because when he came on screen and he looked that young and pale and fresh faced, I boggled. I startled. I think
you're like, wow,
Leverage
1994
reboot too.
Was 30 years ago. Yeah.
Oh God, and Jesus.
No, every time I start a new episode on Max, it's always like ER 30th anniversary, and I'm like, I don't need to be hearing this.
It did say that really big. Anyway, I wanted to let you guys know I'm really excited to be joining you on this journey, and
I'm so psyched.
I don't think there's any way that you could have. There's nothing you should have done, but I did get like 5 minutes into that first episode, and I saw an entire skin come off a leg, and I thought, well, they could have said something about that. But you shouldn't have. It was right that you didn't. But I was like, that is
one of the worst ones. Like, in that first episode, I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to go this hard onto medical stuff. But that is one of the worst things.
I haven't seen anything that bad since.
Yeah. No, I don't
Even
think
the various, like, vomitings and gushings of blood, that's fine. No, but when it was a full debrided leg or whatever,
and they had to they had to like move it, manipulate it. Yeah, it was not, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
I'm having a blast. So I can't wait to discuss that with you further on our online platforms. Anything else you want to talk about? Anything else before we talk about the wrestling? We're going to talk about the wrestling. We're going to talk about the bodies. I just thought we'd get into the pit first and actually
do a little check-in about our TV habits.
In the middle of this,
people like to know what we're watching together as a group, yeah.
And I was having so much fun discussing that I did kind of forget that we were already recording. I forgot. It's happening.
It's happening. Anyone can hear this.
I know. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm going to have to move on for talking about the pit. I have some specific things I want to say. But we don't want to spoil anyone. Okay. Should we talk wrestling?
Did you almost lisp it a little bit and say wrestling?
Wrestling? No, I think I was considering saying wrestling. And then I was like, let's get serious.
Be serious, yeah.
Enough already.
None of that lighthearted sort of
please
cliched little cutesy things that we say.
The people come here for serious factual analysis, and I'd like to say to you people, you are not going to get it tonight because I'm not sure that any of us really understand what's happening in the world of wrestling right now.
They're going to be like, none of that goofy shit. I hate it.
I felt a little bad when I was doing this schedule because I was like, sometimes, it's like I see people being mean to other wrestling pundits because it's like, how hard is it to follow wrestling? And it's like, I don't know, depending on how you're doing in your life, it can be, sometimes it's harder than other times.
It's like, yeah, I had to watch wrestling alone at 7 a.m. this morning while my coworkers
what were you doing last night? Oh, you just had your headache?
She had her headache.
I was not speaking to people.
You were having your agonies. I'm so sorry. I already forgot.
It was unsettled. There was a point this morning where you still hadn't said anything online, and I started to get like, I hope Leah's not like in the hospital. I was like, what if she doesn't show up for the
I know.
pod? Like, what do we do? But then you started putting notes in the workflow, and I was like, okay, I've got eyes on her.
That's also why I came into our group chat with that energy, because I was like, I know I have to acknowledge that I'm alive, so here's what's going on with me. But I was in a really bad mood, so I was just like, hi, idiots, my head hurts. No, last night I turned off all the lights. I couldn't even turn on the TV. I was like trying to read on my phone, but then I kept getting distracted and not doing that, and then throwing the phone away from me and trying to fall asleep, and then picking up the phone again, and then it was just a nightmare. It was just a full nightmare.
Oh, no. Leah, that's so bad.
I know.
This isn't really the time to discuss it, but I'm just going to put this in the icebox for later, and I'm going to ask, do you think we should redevelop an away message culture in our online platform.
Oh.
Where instead of coming hot into a channel being like, this is what's going on with me, don't start with me, it's just an away message that's like, I have a fucking bitching headache and I wish I were dead. Don't start with me. Should we be doing that?
Yeah. I think we should. Should we put it in the job description or some other field?
I think there's a status message.
Yeah, I think you can do
there
a
is
status
message. All right.
Okay, well, let's put that in the ice box parking lot.
Yeah. I'm going to start checking out some song lyrics that can go in there.
Honestly, we should announce this in our group chat tomorrow because everyone likes the Little Friday project.
That's
What
true.
were your guys' AIM usernames?
Okay, it was a dashboard confessional lyric
Yeah.
that I misremembered.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
What was it?
Maybe it's trite, I think. But then is the lyric. I think it's like maybe it's trite, but I can't always be wrong. You know that song? But I think how did I don't remember. It was like this. I don't remember. But it was something with the word trite because I was
love it.
extremely
amazing.
nerdy.
Love that. Yeah, mine was really boring because like I'm enough older than you guys that I was a full adult. But yeah, it was like A and then my last name and some numbers, I think.
Wow, you were yourself on it.
That's so bold.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I had
Mine
the
was
XX too, by the way. It was like XX is this trait XX.
Nice.
Mine was I watched the I don't know who made it, but the PBS miniseries of Gormenghast. And then after I watched it, one of the characters like thinks he's an owl, and so then, but he was kind of crazy, and so then my username was Psychotic Owl 243, which is so embarrassing.
That's cute. Psychotic Owl.
It's crazy.
Both those things are they're just perfect. They're just
Yeah.
like, if I had to imagine what teenage you guys would do, I think it would be those ones.
I just had to do a quick Google to make sure there's no lasting impressions of that username on the internet because I also used it. I also used it on my Zanga.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I forgot about Zanga. I had a different username for Zanga. Wow. Okay, well, we'll just check. We'll do some OPSEC later, and we'll just, you can bleep this if you need to.
It's true. It's true.
Don't worry, we're still safe. So we successfully put off talking about wrestling for another few minutes. No, we're going to do it. This week on Dynamite, MJF opened the show in a Sacramento back alley. He was cutting a promo on Hangman in which he said, "Hangman, you've got me feeling hungry and wanting to prove a point to your fan club. I'm not hard to find. I'm in the streets of Sacramento. I've got a bullet with your name on it. You want to shoot? We'll saddle up and let's ride." I think he started yelling at the camera in the middle of this. It was an aggressive beginning to the evening. I don't always like it when the men get that close and yell. Later in the show, Renee came out to that alley where he was still hanging out waiting for Hangman.
I did not gather from this initial segment that he was going to be like, that he thought Hangman would be coming by. I thought he was just kind of like roaming the streets yelling for him. So like when an hour later he was still outside waiting for him, I was like, this is not perhaps an alpha male energy, but I loved it.
And you're engaging with that chatter. I like that it's the new thing is that everybody is doing stuff for way longer than you think they'll be doing it. They're barging around backstage for an hour. They're waiting in an alley for an hour. It's realistic. Mm-hmm.
Like the pit, they're doing this in real time.
God, I'd love a version of the pit that was just backstage at AEW. One full day at AEW Dynamite.
That'd be incredible. Yeah.
A day where
Start at
everything
call
goes
time
wrong.
at 2 p.m. and then you just go through till,
That would be
5 a.m.
amazing.
Yeah, it'd be killer. They should, if they do that AEW Unplugged,
Access?
whatever, all access, yeah, they should do that.
Matt Jackson, consider it for your travel blog.
Oh my gosh, yeah. 12 straight hours of content. Okay. Later on in the show, Renee came out to the alley for an interview. but had to dive for cover when Hangman hurtled onto the scene in his pickup, trying to run MJF over. MJF did get away. Hangman followed him through the backstage, out to the arena, and initiated a beatdown, only to discover that MJF had hired a security guard to dress like him and be his body double. And so the security guard was shouting like, "I'm so sorry, he made me do it," which was a great little bit of melodrama. And then MJF attacked Hangman and punched him and beat him up and punched him with his dynamite diamond ring. And so Hangman's laid out, and MJF cuts a promo where he's like, "Oh, you all love when Hangman sets people on fire. Well, sets things on fire. Well, he's not the only one who knows how to use fire," which is a great brag. And so he covered Hangman in lighter fluid while commentary stood by being like, "No, oh, you should, don't do that."
Like, "Oh no, way too far." It's like there's 3 of you sitting at a table 5 feet away, and he's one guy. Like, but yeah, okay.
There's a prime directive in wrestling. They're not allowed to get involved.
It was a real wildlife photographer energy from all of them, to be honest.
I hope they have, during some of their production meetings, I hope they have like journalistic, ethical conversations about like what role are we allowed to play in the violence that we present. Like, is it ever like, do I have to step in, or am I obligated not to step in? Like, am I just the lens?
What if they're going to set a man on fire right in front of me?
They're doing the trolley problem back there. So MJF covered Hangman in lighter fluid while commentary was like, security would be here, but I don't know, there's a lot of other stuff going on. They've got mocks and they're sleepy and that kind of thing. But eventually security did come out. They managed to subdue MJF before he lit a flame. They carted him off stage, still shrieking about his devilish plans. And Hangman was laid out, being seen to by an attentive medical team. Thoughts?
Why wasn't Chuck Taylor in the security?
It's because
they needed a ton of security guards.
Yeah.
Why wasn't Chuck Taylor there?
because of how much he hated how much we noticed.
He was like, "No one will notice. It'll just be like Dream Bamager being like, oh, we didn't even see it." And then every girl on the internet was like, "There he is, there he is."
He activated the swarm and he was like, "Oh, shut it down."
He's like, "I thought I had starved them to death already, but nope, got to go underground for another year."
We'll never die. We'll never die, baby. Any other thoughts? You want to talk about MJF's t-shirt?
That was a really good t-shirt. I did enjoy that. The MJF did nothing wrong. I'm like, that's funny. Like,
Yeah,
right now,
was funny.
MJF is being incredibly MJF-y, but in a very positive way for me. I'm like, this is what I like. This is the MJF that I enjoy.
We're back to when his whole shtick really worked, and I liked how he unbuttoned his button down to reveal it like he was Superman a little bit. Pulling it off. That's good stuff. Yeah, I was interested too. He said babyface specifically when he was talking about Hangman's like literal face. He was like, "It makes me want to take a bite out of that blue-eyed baby face of yours," which I thought was like a little on the nose, but maybe I don't hate it. I don't know.
Like, on the nose in wrestling? And no, it was interesting. Oh yeah, I don't like when Past Alley says that she's had an interesting thought that she doesn't include in the schedule. I think I just started thinking about, like, they had that great promo off, and then I was like, I don't know, should they be engaging even more? It's like MJF setting Hangman on fire, trying to set him on fire because Hangman did this big crime of setting Swerve's house on fire, and it's like, should they have, like, even a deeper conversation about, like, let's think about the specific crimes you've done, like... I don't know what I'm saying. I don't think I care. Whatever. It's fine.
It's currently working for me because it's like MJF is trying so hard. Like, it's almost like he's provoking Hangman because he's simultaneously trying to destroy Hangman and understand him. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like he's trying to, like, break Hangman down into something MJF understands, which I like, and Hangman is just working out all his bad feelings about what he personally did to CD by revenging what MJF did to CD. So for me, it's working for me. Like the last episode, like their interactions did follow a more typical like wrestling storyline, but I'm like, well, you earned it because you did the work I wanted you to do now. So now you can have your fun, stupid pull aparts. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe what I felt was that in future I might have a thought, but I don't have the thought yet. Let me just put a little bookmark.
Maybe someday.
Yeah.
And I hope you all look forward to that.
It's like when you plant a little seed and you put like a sign saying what it's going to grow to be. And it's like, but it's not there yet. It's just dirt. It's dirt right now.
I do think they're doing a really good job turning Hangman babyface believably, you know, with this sort of like move to Christopher Daniels and regret and, you know, pushing it forward in a way that's, I think, pretty well done for, you know, wrestling turns.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's hard for Hangman because it's like he's so good that it's like he does really good work, but I'm just kind of like, yes, well, of course, Hangman's doing a good job at that. It's like he understands his internal characterization and he's always himself, just in different degrees, in different directions. And he understands that there needs to be an emotional catalyst for change. Mm-hmm. It's hard to be good because
you just don't even get credit. Everyone's like, yeah,
I know.
Right, sure.
Because if Adam Cole had managed this, we would be screaming our heads off and would be like, could he be voted Wrestler of the Year?
Yeah,
but when
for
Hangman
sure.
does it, we're like, yeah, classic Hangman.
And it's like he could be voted. He could and should always be voted Wrestler of the Year. But yeah, we don't say it in those delight tones of like, wow, he really knocked my socks off with this. It's like he did exactly what we knew he could do.
Yeah.
Imagine if Adam Cole did this. I'm just like staggered. I'm just like, wow, I would be blown away.
I mean, we were begging Adam Cole to do like 1/100th of this, and Adam Cole was like, seriously. I don't think so. I don't think I could. All right. Any other thoughts on MJF Hangman before we move on? Great.
Excited for their match this weekend.
Oh God, right. Revolution is this weekend. Yeah. Revolution is this weekend.
Yeah, so we have a classic Tunnel Talk episode where we're going to come out Sunday morning, and then anything interesting we have to say will be just by Sunday night.
But at least it won't be just before it comes out, so that's exciting.
And we don't comment on the outcome of the matches anymore. So it's like,
no, true.
We're analyzing how well things are going at the time of recording. She said stupidly. We can't see the future. I know I say it every week, guys. We can't see the future. Okay, let's move on. Yuta fought Willie Mack on Collision and won. Mox joined him in the ring afterwards. He bashed Willie Mack on the back of the head with the title belt briefcase, which he then shoved into Yuta's arms. He hopped on the mic. He said he had a lesson to teach his young protege about finishing the damn job. And then he threw the mic away and grabbed Yuta by the shoulders and was just shaking him, being like, you on Dynamite, you have to beat Cope. You have to take him out. He does not leave the ring under his own power, okay? He's too dangerous. You were made for this moment. He doesn't walk away. I don't know, this whole segment, Mox was doing that thing where he's like walking and you're like, why are you walking that way? Like, did you hurt your leg?
Literally walking like extra weird for him because I was like, is he limpy? He had kind of like a real Frankenstein energy. Like
lurch. It's the walk of someone who recently got a peg leg and isn't quite comfortable with it.
I'd love that characterization.
Oh my gosh. So he told Yuta, he like grabbed Willie Mack and was like, okay, hit him with the briefcase. You know how to do it. And Yuta did it. And then Mox was like, great, that's all he's here for. He leaves. And Yuta's just standing there clutching the briefcase, petting it, stroking and petting it.
He was clutching it so tightly to his chest. And the vibe was very much like a little boy who gets dropped off at a summer camp and he's really scared because all the big boys are like running around and hollering and he's only got his suitcase from home with all of his toys and clothes in it and he's just holding it very tightly. I was like, what are you doing? Like he was hugging it like it was a comfort object.
I think security also is kind of deteriorated with regards to the backpack because it's like it used to be chained to Marina's wrist and now it's like Mox is totally losing it. It's like he forgot it was even there. He's like, oh, I put it in, and then I've got to leave. I have a little something to do. And it's like, oh, your briefcase. Like, sir. It's just...
It's so rude to not even wait for you to walk out together. Like, you're just going to go by yourself. Like,
I didn't want to. So Yuta was petting the briefcase. And then at the last minute, this actually did delight me. And then he did it again on Dynamite. His hair is just so shaggy. It is, I mean, it's covering every part of his face. So it's like, what's going on in there? And then at the last minute, he swept it back. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot what you looked like. You're such a sweet, handsome boy. And he did look really stressed and sad. So it was effective in the moments before that, I'd been like, I don't know, maybe he's horny for the briefcase. Like, anything could be going on in there. But then I saw his face and I said, wow, he's not doing well emotionally. Mm-hmm. So that's, it's easier to act with your face than with your hair in some ways.
But the hair curtain can provide a dramatic reveal. So
that's true, Anne. That's a really good point. Mm-hmm.
There were chants of get a haircut during his match with Cope, and it was very unclear who they meant.
I don't know. Is our opinion on Cope's hair, is that shared by the general populace, do you think?
It should be, if they have eyes.
Should be, of course, if they have eyes. Well, so on Dynamite, Cope fought Yuta, as you've just said, and Cope won. And afterwards, he grabbed the mic and he said, I can't take it seriously. He said, this is what respect feels like, and shook Yuta's hand. And Yuta kind of like staggered backwards against the ropes and then again swept his hair back, looking so befuddled. Like, what do you mean? What?
The vibe was like he's never been shown kindness in his entire life, and Cope is the first one who didn't like hurt him. So he's like, "Are you my papa?"
And Cope had said it in like such a stern, like grandpa kind of voice. Like, kids today, they don't understand respect. Son, this is what respect feels like. It's just like, what is happening here?
I had a real knee-jerk repulsed response where I was like, don't you tell me what respect feels like. But then afterwards, I was like, as you've said, he was acting like this is the first time I've known kindness. And it's like, you had two loving fathers.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing that pisses me off, because I'm like, I'm glad that we're finally getting to the storyline. I've had enough of Yuta and the Death Riders. This is where we need to go. But I'm like, it has to be with Cope. Cope has to be the one to rescue from the cult. Yeah. It can't be Orange Cassidy.
I think it's messed up. I think it's messed up for Orange Cassidy to have made basically no inroads. And then Adam Copeland being like, this is what respect feels like, and shaking his hand is what made you to be like, wait a second, maybe I do want that. It's like, okay.
Yeah. It's crazy. It would just be much more emotionally impactful if Orange Cassidy was being his loving mother again, and
it's what everybody wanted to see, I think.
The people were crying out.
The people were crying out. We, the people.
I would kill for just you could even do some of these beats, but just have like a backstage shot of like Alex Marvez like creeping in closer, trying to he overhear, and Yuta's on the phone, and he's like, I don't know, Orange, I'm scared. Are you here? I just need to talk to you.
Papa, can you hear me? Papa, are you near me? I do want him leaving messages on OC's voicemail, just being like, I want the voicemail equivalent of Hangman barging into Swerve's locker room and then being like, it was a moment of weakness, but in a more familial, slightly more familial.
Oh yeah, of course it won't be romantic. We're not perverts.
We're not perverts. Okay, so Mox. Did I already say any of this? No, Mox. Then screedled out to the ring to yell at Yuta for not winning and for getting his hand shaken. And Yuta seemed understandably upset about being yelled at for those things, and he shoved Mox on his face and stomped off. And Mox was really mad, pacing the ring with his peg leg, and then followed Yuta backstage, yelling at him to keep walking. And Yuta, in his best surly teenager voice, was like, I will keep walking. I will. I am walking. Mox then called Cope a master manipulator and cut a promo on Cope in which he was like, I guess you've taken everything from me now, and I have no one, and I guess I'm defenseless, and you win, and so I guess come kill me, but I guess maybe I'll be killing you this Sunday at Revolution.
That was the most mom that Mox has been in a very
Yes.
long time, because the whole walk back was kind of like when you have to pick up your kid because
Yep.
he was misbehaving at school and you're mad at him. And so he's going into the house and you're just following him being like, wait till your father gets home. Yeah, you better go up those stairs. You better go to your room and I don't want to see you.
It really took me back to my adolescence. Yeah.
And Mox being like, well, I guess everything's ruined. I guess I lost everything. I guess, you know.
I guess my
what else
children
is
don't
there?
respect me. I guess my husband doesn't even respect me. I didn't really understand it because I was like, I guess Claudio got shared, but it's like he didn't abandon you, babe. Like, I think he still loves
He's still
you.
in the hospital. Whereas I was like, well, you just still alive. Just because like you're having a little fight right now doesn't mean you're alone.
This is how people end up getting like an avoidant attachment style. Be careful.
Calling Cope a master manipulator also is like so funny because Cope has done almost nothing. It's like I've been watching like The Traitors lately, which is
Amazing.
a very funny kind of show, but like all the contestants are like past reality show contestants, basically are famous for something else. And so they're all like, wow, he is a legend. Like he is a master manipulator. And you're always like, that's the dumbest person alive. Like, what are you talking about?
It's like, oh, pardon me, you're all idiots.
Yeah, this is a real, like, the one-eyed man in the kingdom of the blind, huh?
Yeah, I don't think it really made any sense because I'm like, I don't think Cope has done one single manipulation. I don't think he's even tried to manipulate. It's all been very forward. He's been really forward about all of it.
He's been pretty black and white. Like, I don't think any of his little speeches had much nuance to it.
I think it's weird because in some ways, like I know that like Cope the Cope era of the Death Rider storyline, I feel has gotten a fairly positive response, but I think people are just responding to the fact that it seems to have sped it up because it's like it actually
and it's
makes,
like not on the show as much.
yeah. I'm like it actually makes less sense than ever because nothing that Cope has done, his involvement doesn't make sense. Nothing he's done makes sense. The way that like Mox has responded to it doesn't make sense, but I agree it seems to be moving things towards an end. So in that sense, I can understand why we're maybe feeling positive.
On O&R this week, they were theorizing that it's like more closely resembling a normal wrestling angle, and so they're not like they're abandoning all the stuff from like the beginning, and now they're making this a little bit more normalized, which I think makes sense. Except that, like, if you do try to, like, square it with how the angle started, it's sort of camp. But you're like, okay, so this is paint by numbers now. Okay, sure.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting because, like, Mox's vibe lately has really been, like, incredibly manic. Like, he's losing it. And I cannot tell if it's, like, on purpose as part of the storyline that his character is, like, feeling more and more threatened. So he's being very manic, or it's that Mox, the real guy, feels threatened because everything he's doing is getting so critically panned that he's also like at the edge. But it's like I wish they would kind of lean into it and make it more explicit, because I think in that like 20-minute like YouTube thing with Renee, I was like, oh, the vibes in here are really like Hitler's last days in the bunker. And I think if they were leaning into like Mox's like plans have gotten constrained, like nothing's going right, and so he's freaking out and like doing more and more like crazy or reckless things, I think that could be kind of an interesting storyline. But I don't.
Yeah.
They're not really doing that, except that Mox is coming across more and more unhinged. But it's like if they made that like a textual thing,
Yeah.
I could get into it, I think.
Yeah. I keep thinking about, because I just feel like there's no there to any of it. And there's never been any there. And Cope getting involved hasn't created any there. Like, you know, and I keep thinking about, and I shouldn't even reference it because I think I read it while half asleep, so I probably won't reference it correctly, but one of our beloved listeners on the Social Suplex Discord, Chai Mothboy, was talking about, like, if Mox was running a cult, if that's what was going on here, then maybe an interesting approach from Cope would have been to like use some deprogramming tactics and to actually be engaging with like, this is what this man is saying to you, but then this is the reality of the situation. Like, do you see how like what he's saying isn't aligned with reality, and like actually he just wants to exert dominance over you? Of course, he would have to say it in more of a wrestling way, perhaps. But I keep thinking, I was like, that's so smart, because there are so many interesting promos that he could have given. And it would have made this all more sensical to me to be like, oh, the storyline is that Mox has this like grandiose idea of, you know, it's like his cult ideology, NXIVM. And then someone comes in and is like, NXIVM is nothing. It's built on nothing. Like, it's literally, it's just about one man having power. And I'm going to...
The Emperor has no clothes.
Exactly. I'm like, that would make this all kind of add up for me.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. And I think, too, if Mox was, like, either, like, slightly losing control of people, or, like, it was becoming more and more clear that his ideology, like, he was going to take over AEW and make it better, but it's like he's done nothing and nothing has changed. You know, like, I think that could all, like, play in together and make, like, a coherent thing out of it, but they haven't gone that direction.
Yeah. Well, do we want to give Mox the Mommy's Little Ham Award this week, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one huge win. You know? It's a very prestigious award, and you and your peg leg really earned it. Final Death Rider thought. Max Caster came out to cut another promo about wanting a big tough wrestler to fight him, and then big tough Jay White came out and took him up on it, and Max Caster was like, what the fuck? How did this happen to me? And immediately got squashed. Jay White cut an in-ring promo about how he and Adam Copeland have joined forces against the Death Riders, and since the day they joined forces, he said, that man has had my back, and I have had his. Footage. I mean, I guess they've come out for each other, so footage kind of found. And he said, and Moxley's all alone. At Revolution, I will be there to see the new AEW World Champion, Cope. Thoughts?
The way they have just subbed Jay White in for FTR with no explanation is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Jay White may turn on Cope.
I would like that.
I guess.
It'd make as much sense as anything else happening here.
I just want Jay White to be a heel, because I just think he's a better heel.
Who do you think Jay White, the human belt, wants his owner to be? His master?
Sounds like he's already chosen Cope.
You think he wants it to be Cope? Interesting. Well, time will tell. On Dynamite, Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford fought Chris Statlander and Thunder Rosa in a women's tag match sponsored by Queen of the Ring, the upcoming film. I seem to have included this despite thinking we don't have much to say about it, but a few hot, zesty topics. Megan Bayne's bosom is so out of control. I fear a wardrobe malfunction every time she is on my screen.
Yeah, it's really on the verge of happening. It's like, there are many women with beautiful bosoms here that have it a little more secured.
In.
Yeah.
There's something about the design.
Even Penelope, I'm never worried for her. She has ample.
Very ample.
Beautifully
ample, yeah.
Beautifully. But, it's locked in.
Perhaps once or twice I have felt a frisson of concern, but an excitement, obviously, but of just like, wow, can it stay in there? But it's like, clearly she has it figured out. Something about, it's like, Megan, I feel like this is all going to have to get cut. I'm like, am I allowed to say this? Megan Bayne has a vibe of like, she has ample bosom and she's like wearing a push-up bra. And I'm like, oh, but when it's pushing up, there's no room in there to keep the boob.
Yeah, well, it's like so often by the end of her match, you have kind of like things look kind of weirdly square and like not in the place where they're supposed to be and kind of popping forward.
Yeah. It's kind of the equivalent of like when wrestlers do really scary wrestling moves and everybody gets worked by it. This is us being like, I'm kind of worked by her out gear, and I just need to know that she's doing it safely, secretly. Like,
I know.
I want to feel confident.
There's
like,
some fashion tape in there, right?
Yeah.
it's thrilling, but it's scary. Do you like her having Penelope Ford as her, like, I don't know what they are to each other.
I don't know what they are to each other either. And she definitely needed someone with personality, but I do think that Penelope needs to just take control of the relationship and just be like, like grab a mic and explain to us what their relationship is, and then just do the promoing.
I agree.
Because I think that they could have something there, because Penelope can be very fun.
Yeah, she really can. Someone must speak. I think someone must speak. We actually
we need something. Yeah, because right now it just feels like they pulled wrestlers out of a hat, and it's like just
a lot of the women have been fairly silent recently. I cannot believe we're 40 minutes in. I don't think I've done my job as a host tonight. Well, this week on Collision, Toni cut a promo from Bad, very relatable, where she was laid up from the previous week's Collision attack by Mariah May. She was like, being in bed really gives you time to think. Also so relatable. About, quote, whether it's all been worth it or whether the past 15 years of my life were a complete waste of time. Darling, let's get lucid.
You know, it's funny. I gave that exact promo myself from bed this week.
She is all of us. Wow. That's really what the winter has been about. Then this week on Dynamite, she and Mariah had a sit down with Renee where Mariah immediately stood up and spat in Toni's face and then cut what I've called an impassioned no children promo about how they will have a Hollywood ending, the Hollywood ending of killing each other and dying together. And she, what did she say? Oh, she said, "You look what you made me do. You made me do this. You made me hurt somebody I loved. You. And we're going to die together." And Toni stayed really, really icy cold, composed throughout, and said, "You do not deserve the dignity of death. I sentence you to a lifetime of mediocrity."
That was killer.
Brutal.
It actually was like a little bit like, I was like, oh no, because it felt the way it was coming out of her mouth. Because she said, she was like, you know, people, you'll work, you'll continue to work, but no one will ever remember you. The only time you'll ever get a spotlight is with me. And the way it was coming out of her mouth felt like a curse.
Yeah,
like by
absolutely.
Speaking the words, she was like making it happen. And the look on Mariah's face made me feel like Mariah felt that way too. Like that there's some power behind Toni's words, and it was spooking me. I was a little spooked.
It was very visceral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought both of them did such a good job with like their body language too, because Mariah was giving very like kind of sullen teen and like a little bit twitchy in a way where it was like, oh, she didn't seem very in control at all and seemed very rattled, whereas Toni was like very composed.
It was a great little you could see so much of what was going on in their minds in their stances, which was great. How to broach this topic. Toni Storm is a really good promo. She is really good at talking, and she does really good talking. It's so interesting when sometimes some people will just say, like, she's so dumb and goofy. Isn't that interesting?
It's so crazy. Like, whatever people get down on, like, Toni and Mariah, it's just like, if they're goofy, like, what is the rest of pro wrestling? It's like, that's the genre. And they're doing, like, very emotionally complex and serious work while also being really funny. And it's like, why is that bad?
Right, like, we all had to pretend to take Malachi Black seriously.
Oh, my God.
For years. Like, don't talk to me about Goofy.
Seriously, CM Punk did a whole storyline where he was mad that a friendship bracelet got taken from him. Like, but that's serious?
Oh, my God. I don't know. Like, sometimes it becomes so unbearable to be in the wrestling community and to, like, I don't know how to put this, but sometimes you really are just like, okay, it is just misogyny, and I just need you to just sit with it. Just sit with it. It's okay. you're saying something misogynistic. Just sit with it.
It's just like, it's crazy over and over again to experience like men that would describe themselves as liberal, as feminists, as, you know, left leaning or whatever.
Yeah.
Continually showing that actually they're pretty uncomfortable when women are doing things that don't involve them. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, and like they love to hide it and be like, yeah, well, I just, you know, I wish this was different. Like maybe if they were like fighting over a guy instead, you know, and it's like, okay, well,
Or to be like,
I don't think you're the feminist you think you are.
Right. Or to feel like it's just not my style. It's like, it's not really about style. Like, I don't know, not that I'm the best at this, but lots of things aren't my style. And I feel like I still try to be like, this seemed like it was good for what it was, or it wasn't good for what it was. You know what I mean? Not that I'm amazing at that. I try.
Well, it's just like, I don't know. I don't think everyone like has to like Toni and Mariah or you're misogynist. Like sometimes things just aren't for you. But I think it just so often gets used as an example of things that suck. And it's like, but it's like the most successful women's storyline and possibly AEW storyline in the last year, and it's like the first time the women have gotten significant time. So it's like when you're giving that as an example rather than giving like Copeland and the Death Riders as an example, like maybe look inside yourself and be like, why is this the thing that bothers me?
I think it also, there's just something inherently uncomfortable for me when it's like to act like it's like they don't know what they're doing and they aren't doing it purposefully. I don't know, like to act like they haven't decided this is the thing we're doing and we're going to execute that. I don't know.
Yes. Sometimes I wonder, like, you know how sometimes it seems like people have a hard time realizing that women make jokes on purpose, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they'll be like, oh my God, this thing on TikTok. And it's like, yeah, that's a joke video. Like, that's a woman being funny on purpose. Sometimes I wonder if that comes into play.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, speaking of fun jokes, the director of Queen of the Ring came out to do a little promo with Toni Storm, and I thought it was pretty fun to watch her do her shtick and to watch him be like, and I'm going to engage with the shtick, and I am not as good at it, but I love that we're doing it.
It's so fun. I love that they get, like, when they got the TCM guy to come in and intro Toni Storm too. Like, I like when they get outside people to come in and play along with it. And they all clearly think it's fun. Whereas I feel like the wrestling men who don't like it seem to think it's embarrassing. And it's like, no, it's the rest of wrestling that's embarrassing.
Yeah,
like, normies love this.
It is a funny aspect of wrestling that it's like the more wrestling is trying to act like it's real, the more embarrassing it is.
Right.
The more
normies.
normies don't get it.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's being funny on purpose, they're like, oh, I see. It's like,
Which isn't to say that it's like, obviously sometimes, you know, we've liked it when we're like, oh, you're trying to do psychological realism in a way that is interesting to me, but it's the least accessible part of wrestling.
Yeah.
To me, Cope saying this is what respect is way more embarrassing.
That's humiliating, yeah. It's like to have to say that you watch that on TV. Oh, God. I'm so sorry to my community. Do you want to talk about United Kingdom FTR? I don't know what's going on here, but
we can skip it.
Yeah, I mean, we can skip it. I just want to say really quick that they're just like, they think I'm stupid. These people, they think that I'm stupid. How the hell did you make me watch a match where Daniel Garcia and FTR tried to shake the Undisputed Kingdom's hands and Kyle wouldn't let them? And then this week, you do the exact same thing, but reverse, and everyone's like, ooh, is FTR turning heel? They wouldn't shake his hand. And I'm like, the other ones wouldn't shake the other hand. Who is the face? Who is the heel? You think I'm stupid? Am I a joke to you?
I don't understand a single thing that's happening with the Undisputed Kingdom, Daniel Garcia, and FTR at all. I'm like, I think they're all heels except Danny Garcia. I thought you were a good boy, but you're hanging out with this bad crowd. If FTR are heel turning after being the world's most boring faces for, I don't know, approximately 70 years, I don't know. Well,
I mean, honestly, like, they should, because, like, I'd be happy to boo them, and, like, maybe they'll do something mildly interesting as a heel, but, like, my God.
They were interesting as heels the first time, but, I mean, interesting, caveated, yeah. Like,
The Elite carried them to interesting.
yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Swerve and Ricochet had a contract signing on Dynamite. Ricochet explained he wasn't wearing Prince Nana's robe because, quote, it's getting upgrades at the moment. And he told Swerve that this whole feud is Swerve's fault. Ricochet wants to move on. He wants to focus on the AEW World Championship. Swerve responded in spluttering tones, "You are so annoying." And he said a little more. Contract was signed. Ricochet tried to attack Swerve with a pair of scissors, but Swerve had also brought scissors, and so he attacked, and Ricochet got cut. Later in the night, Swerve and Brody King teamed up to fight Okada and Ricochet in a match that some of us were almost asleep during. Sorry, guys. The bad boys won, and Brody King and Okada and Swerve and Ricochet will fight at Revolution. What do you want to talk about?
Swerve giving the promo where he just kept, like, having to restart it, like, and pick different words, had the vibe of, like, that segment in Clue where she's like, flames on the side of my face.
Yes, it definitely did. It was funny because Ricochet was shining in this segment. He was glowing with annoyingness. And there were a few moments where I was like, wow, this is not Swerve's best night. And it's kind of working. It's kind of it's kind of working that he just seems like I barely know how to talk when you're around.
Yeah, like, I didn't feel like he was doing that on purpose, but it did work in combination. I think it's so interesting too, because, like, I think AEW has managed to find some people to be really effective annoying heels. Between Ricochet and Max Caster and Mercedes is starting to do it a little bit too, where it's, like, really good. And I feel like maybe they're all kind of, like, Ricochet maybe is leading by example here, but it's like, yeah, like, being, like, such a little dweeb that, like, sucks is, like, both fun to watch and, like, makes me want to boo him real hard, which is, like, it is kind of a hard, narrow window to walk as a heel, where it's like people don't want to cheer you, but also they enjoy watching you, you know, and it's a good strategy.
It is an infinitely more enjoyable type of heel for me than when, for example, when MJF was in, like, mega racism mode and being like, well, it's because I'm a bad guy. And it's like, okay, well, I don't like watching it, even though, of course, I will boo it. But it's fun to watch people be heels where it is like, you suck. I love chanting you suck. I love booing you. And I love watching you.
Yeah. It's really, like, I think the difference is I enjoy seeing someone shoved in a locker, metaphorically. I don't really want to see someone who actually deserves to get, like, arrested for hate crimes. It's like, there's a scale here where I'm like, no, we're all in it for the funsies.
And if the IWC and wrestling were a beautiful place where there was no misogyny and no racism, then they could say those things to their heart's content, maybe, but they're not, and I get enough of it all the time. So, like, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys think that Ricochet is doing to the rope?
That is... Especially because we just talked about how beautiful the robe is and how well constructed it is. Like, it would be like the ultimate heel move, don't you think? If he was like, I made a bolero jacket out of it.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
I immediately thought of. Do you guys know the Katherine Hagel rom-com 27 Dresses? I think that's the one where she has the sister who. I don't know. It's quite a mismanaged film because the sister never really redeems herself as a human being for me. But the sister has their mom's wedding dress that Katherine Hagel always wanted to wear. But the sister gets engaged first. And so she's like, I'm going to just get some alterations done. And then the alterations are just that she rips it apart and takes one little bit of lace and puts it on a totally different gown. And Katherine Hagel is like, where is mom's dress? And she's like, oh, it's gone. Like, this is all that's left. That's what I imagined.
This has nothing to do with Ricochet.
Oh, it's about Katherine Hagel.
It's about 27 dresses.
Amazing.
Which is
Yeah.
that 10 years ago, me and my best friend Hannah, went to a trip to the Dominican, and every night we would come back to the room and like have to decompress for like a couple hours. And every time we turned on the hotel room TV, it was only 27 dresses in Spanish. And so I've seen parts of that movie multiple times, but only in Spanish. So no, I don't really understand what it's about, but I do have strong memories of it.
I immediately had the wrong response for our podcast about wrestling, where I was like, should I describe the whole plot to you? I'd love to tell you the entire plot of 27 Dresses. It's not.
I love those weird vacation things. Like my family went on a cruise when I was like 25, and me and my brothers and one of their now wives were all there. And so like at night we'd like play cards and stuff, but the cruise ship would have like, it had like an internal radio because like you couldn't pick up real radio. But so they had like a top 40 like station, but there were perhaps 40 songs exactly. It was like, so you really heard the same things over and over. So there's certain songs from like that summer that I'm like, wow, this really takes me right back.
It's beautiful. The way that memory works. What are we talking about? What is going on?
27 dresses and whether we should
the
describe
plot
the
of
whole
27 Dresses. Just kidding. Unless.
What do you think Ricochet is going to do to the robe?
I don't know. I hope he does turn it into like a thong or something.
Wow, that'd be amazing.
A little pair of panties to wrestle in.
That'd be
Maybe
and then the
panties-
rest of it is just like in shreds in a cardboard
Maybe some
box that
little-
he gives Sanana.
Nipple tassels or something. That'd be kind of fun.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't know. I trust his creative vision. I can't wait to see what he's getting up to. And this was your Wife Watch 2025 update. Would you like to...
The Wife Watch where they mentioned Ricochet's beautiful ring announcer.
In-ring announcer.
I was very confused about that. Now, of course I don't follow WWE. Did she not say that she was like, I hated being a ring announcer?
She said she didn't
do it?
want to come be a ring announcer,
yeah.
but people say all kinds of things.
And to be fair, he didn't say that she would come to be a ring announcer.
No.
He just labeled her as a ring announcer. So it's like, it's her past job. not
Any
necessarily her
reference
future job.
raises our little antenna. We say, what, a wife? A wife?
A wife in 2025?
Well, I think the two wives that have come to AEW have been Renee,
Yeah.
Gallant, and
A+.
Miro's wife,
Lana.
Solana,
Yeah.
who is the goofus.
Is it fair to call her Goofus when she did that really fun cucking storyline?
I love to watch married couples do kink on television.
It's so funny that that Miro just left before it ever,
Like,
I guess they got
Instead,
divorced.
they just got divorced. It was really funny when you're like looking back. I guess that was their last ditch effort to spice
They were
things
doing
up.
that instead of therapy, and it's like, maybe we should have chosen therapy.
And that's such a classic wrestler thing to do. Also,
It's like you can't have a child to save a marriage. You also can't do an angle to save a marriage. Many could learn. We had an 8-man tag on Dynamite where Powerhouse Hobbs, who I guess is a face now, and
Didn't he turn face because he was mad at Don Callis for not calling him when he was sick?
I think we may have had this argument before, and I'm just like, well, I don't think he's done anything behaviorally to make me be like, he is a face. He's just fighting heels. And that's not the kind of...
AEW
I don't always prefer
tend
that.
to do that sometimes, where it's like, my enemy is a heel, so by fighting him, I have become face. And I'm like, I don't think it really
Bad
works
people
like that.
fight all the time.
Yeah.
there are a lot of people in this promotion right now who are not making a strong case for themselves one way or the other, and need to get it together.
But then sometimes I comment on it, and I'm like, I don't know. Do I care about this? Do I have a strong feeling about whether people should, like, really be faces or really be heels? Like, is it okay for someone to just be, like, kind of a
be a
bad
guy.
person who isn't doing anything actively bad right now? I don't know. Maybe. Whatever. Powerhouse Hobbs, Mark Briscoe, OC, and Will Ospreay fought Brian Keith, Brian Cage, Lance Archer, and Mark Davis, and won. OC did a bunch of fun little boy spots, and he got tossed around between all the big men like a sweet little football, so I like watching that.
Cute watching him. Sometimes it's just like you get the impression that he thinks how small he is like really funny,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, put me on your shoulders.
Upsies,
It'll be great.
upsies.
Yeah, throw me into the crowd.
So it's nice to watch. Afterwards, Kyle Fletcher came out to the ring and basically threw a Regina George temper tantrum about his team not winning. He had his Murder Machine lackeys hold Ospreay between them as he wailed on him. Mark Davis, who, as we know, has been reluctant to be evil this entire time. He hasn't liked a minute of it.
Which you can tell by how enthusiastically he's participated in everything he does, while commentary says how reluctant he
He's
is.
so reluctant. Mark Davis is like beating someone's face into a pulp.
Like while grinning.
Yeah, okay. But in this moment, he did try to pull Fletcher off Ospreay. So Fletcher turned around and wailed on Mark Davis instead and was shouting in his face, being like, "You're not in charge anymore. I'm in charge." Like, I don't know, implying that there had been some problems for a long time, I guess. And then he handed Mark Davis a steel chair and was like, "Hit him." And Mark Davis, honestly, pretty readily was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll hit him. Jesus. You always get so worked up for no reason. I just thought, save it for Revolution. So this was technically a plot beat. I can't say that I've been sold on the sensicality of what's happening here.
No, it was like, on the one hand, they're trying, I guess, to like actually have Mark Davis be reluctant one time. But for me, it was crazy to have like, this is the first time he and Kyle Fletcher have interacted, really, that we've seen since they were a tag team. And it's like Fletcher was just yelling at him like the way anyone in the Don Callis family could have yelled at him to like be evil or whatever. So it was like, well, I don't really understand like what the dynamic is between them, and I still don't. And like, just to watch them yell in a way where you can't even really hear what they're saying very well was just like, what is the point of this?
It would have been so much more powerful if Kyle had been like, hit him with the chair, and Mark Davis had like not really moved, and then all of a sudden Kyle's voice like all of a sudden sweetened, and he was like,
my God.
"Mark, haven't we been having fun? It's so nice to be together again. Haven't you been enjoying it?" And then
I missed you so much while
I've
you were
missed
gone.
you. All you have to do is just hit him. Just hit him, Mark.
Oh
and
my
we can
God.
be together.
Leah.
Yeah.
That would have been something.
It's a bit too much for me to handle. That would have been something. The other thing I keep thinking is, like, you just wouldn't have needed very much time at all in some of the group scenes that they've had to have Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher be there together, and to have Mark Davis, like, try to say something, or, like, even just, like, clear his throat, and have Kyle Fletcher basically be like, "Down, dog.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to talk. You know you're not allowed to talk." You wouldn't have to do that much to make it clear that they've been having a weird dynamic that then erupts in this moment where Mark Davis is like, "Okay, I think this is too far," or whatever. I mean, I think the problem may be that Mark Davis like can't do face acting, like can't act, and so
Or body acting. Yeah, it's kind of all the whole way through. Because I watched him wrestle non-reluctantly.
I know, I'm like, his body acts like it looks good. It does, but you're right. Not a clear performance of emotion. So I don't know. Let's talk about another sad aspect of this little scene. As we know, Will Ospreay recently made a friend, a best friend. He finally had a best friend, and they fought together one time, and then and they won, and it was so good. And then Kenny said, "Okay, bye."
He's all of a sudden he had all of Will Ospreay's calls are going to voicemail. Will comes to his hotel room and knocks, and he can hear Kenny moving around, but Kenny doesn't answer the door. It's a nightmare.
Michael Nakazawa comes to the door and is like, he's not home, and you can hear Kenny in the other room screaming like Dragon Ball Z or whatever he does. Ospreay's like, "I think I hear it," and Michael Nakazawa's like, "Oh, so the oven timer's going off. I have to close the door now. Bye."
And Will Ospreay's just alone in the hallway like, "But there's no oven."
No oven.
It's a hotel room.
Like, I can't, like, why is this happening? The fact that we saw a protracted moment where Ospreay was getting beat down, and I just kept being like, wow, if only there was anyone who has, like, protected him recently or that has equal reason to hate the Don Callis fam. Like, I get it. I think everybody said that, like, all the flights got canceled, blah, 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 so it's possibly Kenny couldn't get there.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of travel shit, but I think you probably should have
yeah.
changed the segment around.
But
I
then
think you
it's like
should've
maybe
changed it.
commentary could say like, Will Ospreay recently befriended Kenny Omega, but I believe Omega is not backstage tonight. Or something.
Right, instead of just pretending. The other thing is that Ospreay had just had a successful 8-man tag, so he had 3 teammates that were all like, "Yes,
They all left.
OC, Mark Briscoe, no
and-
interest.
Oh my
Who was
god.
the last one? I don't. Hobbs.
So
Hobbs
so
makes
Hobbs
sense,
could have
but-
helped.
okay, I can make this all make sense now. Powerhouse Hobbs, not a face. Like this is why he's not a face. It's because he's not a guy. He's like, I don't really know why I was involved in this in the first place. It's just because of my situation with the Jericho learning tree. So peace. I don't know you. Kyle O'Reilly and OC went backstage and immediately started playing patty cake or something, and they were having
They were conglomerated.
conglomerating.
They were too conglomerated to be able to move.
they locked into each other. Kyle has been going because he just has
you
Adam
keep saying
Cole.
Kyle, but it was Mark.
Oh my God, you're right.
I wish it had been Kyle.
I just-
I like that your mind just immediately deleted Mark Briscoe and inserted Kyle O'Reilly.
I will the world I want.
Kyle deserved to have this match
Just like
instead
I
of
wanted
his-
Kyle to be there, and I loved the idea of Kyle and OC like having been kept from each other a little bit and just being like, oh, it's so fun to be together again. But you're right, it was Mark Briscoe, so that's really unfortunate actually, because Mark Briscoe is usually pretty good about saving people. It's like one of his top qualities is that he's like, I don't really know you, but you seem like you need help, so I will come help.
No wonder Ospreay's been so desperate for friends when not even Mark Briscoe will save him. Like, that's pretty bleak. I guess he's really unpopular backstage.
Well, I'm starting to wonder, you know that tweet that's like, how come no one asks deadbeat dads, like, maybe their kids just had bad vibes? Starting to be like, is there something wrong with Ospreay? I mean, it's like, you meet an asshole in the morning, you met an asshole. You meet an asshole all day, you're the asshole.
I know, but I think, like, I know we have...
Maybe Kenny told him, like, if you come in the bathroom with me one more time, that is it. And then Will did.
This is the consequence.
Guys, stop it. This is really hurting my feelings. I understand that we have to ask these tough questions. Like, does Will Ospreay have bad vibes? Is there a reason people don't want to hang out with him? But then I see him tigger his way out to the ring, and it's just like, how could you look at him in the eye and hurt him? Like, he's just a guy who just wants love. My feelings are hurt.
I mean, and he did throw his body over Kenny's so
my
many times to
God.
protect him, and Kenny can't even do it one time for Will.
It was
back.
so clear that it's like he almost wanted to be injured so that he could be like, I got this because I was protecting my best friend. And he has no one who would do that for him. And it really makes me kind of emotional. I feel really sad.
I kind of wish that while he was
It's a
getting
real
beat
work
up,
yourself into a shoot kind of situation right here on the podcast.
I know.
I kind of wish while he was getting beat up, he was just moaning, Kenny, 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 help.
And Anne, I think you said you were like, I guess Kenny's just in catering, happy to get a moment to himself. And I don't know what's been going on with me recently, but this was happening while I was watching The Pit. Various storylines, someone would be doing something like, I won't reference exactly what was going on, but the mother with the girl who wanted the abortion, I just kept looking at the TV. It's been happening to me all the time recently, and I just go, evil. That's how I felt when you said Kenny's in catering, just happy to get a moment to himself. I thought to myself, evil. How could you? It makes me sick. Will Ospreay, I am so sorry for what you are going through. And all I want is for you to have a friend who loves you and who appreciates how much you love them.
I think Trish today was like, I think Will Ospreay finally found out how good Kenny is at friendship. Yeah, that's pretty true.
It's
He
not the
doesn't
best
have
friend
like
you
a
want to pick.
track record.
But maybe next time Allie will run out and save him, So that'd be nice.
Imagine. I run out and I'm just like, oh, no, please don't engage physically. I'm really not.
Boys.
Let's talk this through.
No, you're brandishing your darning needles.
Oh, perfect. Yes, I could bring my darning needles. I have lots of heavy objects I could bring out, I guess. I was just sitting here thinking, like,
You're starting to brainstorm.
what's the heaviest object I own?
That you can still carry and wield.
I have
though.
to be able to carry it and wield it, yeah. I'll give that some serious thought for when I go and save Will Ospreay. Somebody's got to. I just need I need someone to care for him.
In fact, I'd like to hear that from all the listeners. Look around you. If you had to do a run-in, what are you grabbing?
Wow. I'm like too entranced to continue the podcast. All right. Actually, the base of my podcast microphone is heavy cast iron. This is not nothing.
Very handheld, yeah.
And that would be a great visual
promo for the pod. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Oh, great. Brian Cage.
What did he do? He was looking so cute, and then he got repulsive again.
His head still
head
looks
and
cute.
face looked super cute, but his body looked terrible.
He's the opposite of a butterface right now.
I know. I think it's like he senses how much we despise his body, and it just makes him love his body more. And he's like, I've got to get those muscles harder and bigger. I need them to be so pronounced and rock
Veiny.
solid.
It's like, I'm not going to drink water for 3 days before television today.
Yuck. All right. Mercedes had a backstage segment with Renee where she made Renee guess which catchphrase Mercedes was going to use at any given moment. And Renee got it right once and then got it wrong another time. And Mercedes said, no, Renee, not that one. And I thought this was fucking charming. I was literally delighted by it. And I am considering really starting to give out what I've called the Mommy's Lovely Lampshade Award, which is when someone knows that something is a bit of a problem and says, if you hang a lampshade on it, it's fine. And it is fine. Yes, her catchphrases are so silly, and I'm so happy that she got to the point where they are the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So
Poor Renee. She almost got run over by Hangman's pickup. She got yelled at for picking the wrong catchphrase. She got spit flying past her.
She was
really stressed out.
Yeah. Mariah was half in her lap trying to reach for Toni.
And she was literally the only person on duty backstage. I don't know if we've said it on the pod. Where is Alex Marvez?
Where the fuck
Where
is
in
Alex
the world
Marvez?
is Alex Marvez?
Really
if I
concerned.
don't see proof of life soon, I'm going to flip out.
And
And I'll
proof
tell
of
you, Chuck
employment.
Taylor doesn't like it. Chuck
How
Taylor
is
doesn't
he-
like it when I get mad.
How is he feeding his family without any scoops?
I'm
So true.
I'm so worried. The two things I'm up nights about. Will Ospreay ever have a friend who loves him? Is Alex Marvez still employed by AEW? I haven't seen him on TV. It feels like it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
I love him. I want to watch him eat a worm.
Yeah. 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 I want Okada to force him to eat a worm while I watch.
If he is just on vacation, I guess it's okay for people to go on vacation. I understand that you deserve that. I would just like...
I don't. Hey,
Oh,
I think Alex Marvez
okay.
needs to be making
Spicy.
the towns.
Oh, spicy. Worms don't get vacation.
Make the damn towns.
Worms are on it 24/7, 365.
Oh my god! You know what? I want to watch. I want to watch Alex Marvez in a boar on the floor scene, like from Succession. Okay. Alex Marvez, please just let us know that you're still collecting a paycheck and that you plan to return to TV at some point. We can't.
Please.
We can't live without you. We literally can't live without you.
Please.
Okay, I think that takes us to Best BODS.
Hey.
Now that's a boy that I could get into.
Oh, God, this is such a good wrestle boy.
Perfect boy. Glide, you beautiful boy. Glide, you beautiful boy.
Best spots in AEW tournament. I almost forgot we were doing this, and I was like, wow, we're really kind of speeding through the schedule. But then I was like, oh, God, the best bots.
I'm like, I didn't go that fast. I feel like I actually took longer than I was supposed to. Seems like it might have gone a little long.
Maybe we'll cut some of the pit talk if we have to.
I don't think that pit talk is going anywhere.
We gotta keep
Just kidding. Oh my God.
All right.
Okay.
Best bots tournament. I got my spreadsheet. My PowerPoint.
Your deck.
Up. My deck. We're on week 2, so we're still in our first round, but we're moving to the Eastern bracket here. Actually, gonna have to get out of that so I can see it better. Just to remind people of what happened last week, we did our Western Conference, and our beautiful bodies that moved on to round 2 are Swerve Strickland, who is going to face Will Ospreay next week, and Chuck Taylor, who is going to face Orange Cassidy next week. So
That's going to be
a rough
something
night. I mean, I think we're going to have to consider how we'll attack that discussion.
I feel like we might. We're all going to be pretty stressed out. And
Yeah.
Hopefully, can be kind to one another if we have different opinions.
Now I'm really scared, Ann. Okay, yep.
Excellent. So, I guess should I read through all our Eastern bracket matches before we talk about them in depth? Or
Hey, you're the MC, Ann. You do what you think is right.
Wow, rough. Okay, well, I'll do an overview. So we're going to have Hangman versus Jack Perry, Matt Jackson versus Takeshita, Max Caster versus Christian Cage, and John Moxley versus Roosh.
I really enjoyed, I think it was Tim Hunter in our Discord today being like, now how did Christian Cage make it there? I was like, well, who can say why anything?
Well, I think
I had to be like, I'm really horny for him, and he used to take his shirt off.
I think Tim's other question, which was quite funny to me because I had thought about it myself, was, so Kenny Omega is not in the running for Best Bod? And I think he only make your list, Ann?
Yeah, and bottom tier of my list, and you guys didn't put him in at all.
No, I have no. I have no.
No, it's not a good body. I know.
I love
it's
you,
a good
Kenny.
body, but
I love you so much. I would do anything for you.
Yeah.
Your
Except
body
have sex with you.
Your body scares me sometimes.
It's just otherworldly. You were right, Leah, when you said Kenny came to us from another planet, and it's like I'm no Lois Lane. You know, I'm just not up to the challenge.
Yeah, something don't look right somehow. Yeah,
but again, love you so much, and so proud of you for all the work that you do on your muscles, as long as it brings you joy.
So magnanimous. All right, so I've upgraded the PowerPoint. Now each guy gets 2 pictures because I really felt like the one picture was too biasing.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
So our first matchup here, Hangman versus Jack Perry.
Amazing.
You did a wonderful job here, Anne, because you tried to capture similar energies in the. It's 2 sets of pictures where actually you can really see how, years from a Jack Perry might become a Hangman.
Yeah.
They really have very similar bodies when you put them next to each other. Like one is just kind of a younger, skinnier version.
And I really do feel like I'm like, Jack Perry needs to go into the wine cellar and mature a little bit. And he really could take it all in a couple years.
Just imagining the cast
he's
of
got that
Amontillado.
chest hair.
We're bricking Jack Perry up and being like, you'll be perfect in 10 years. It's interesting. I never think about Jack Perry's body really, but then when I look at it, it is a good body. It is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a reason that he made it to tier 4 of all of our lists.
Tier 4 of all of ours. We were all unanimously. I'll say also, I think I forgot to say, Hangman's our number 2 seed and Jack Perry number 15 seed. Yeah. So,
but he really, when I look at these pictures, he really earned it. Wow, and he has. Mm-hmm. I want to call out some. They both have some things going for them. Beautiful hair on chest.
Yeah.
Beautiful hair on head.
Grow in.
Jack Perry, some of our best curly hair. And beautiful titty on both men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and good proportions too. I feel like they're both muscled but not too muscled, and sort of have those broad shoulders and good titties, and you know.
I like this. I like for
waist.
you to have these two pictures of Jack where you can see one that really has like the muscles are popping a little more in the ab region, but another where they're not popping at all. That's what I prefer. I like that range. I like that range.
When I was looking for pictures, I kept being like, ugh, too muscled. Like all the ones they post themselves are like, stop flexing. Like I need a nice soft one.
Right.
I need you.
Because they think that's what we want, but it's like, no.
God, no.
That scares me.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about you, how much time you spent in the gym to look like that.
Oh.
Whereas like when
huge
Jack
turn
Perry's
off.
like soft, I'm like, I could pretend and be like, oh, you know, I'm sure he works out sometimes.
Yeah. I bet he's getting
you know.
most of his muscles from metalsmithing.
Yeah.
It's harder than you might
Okay.
think.
Just chopping down trees and forging things.
One Nation Radio was trying to work through why everyone was really into Hangman sitting in the chair. And
It was
James
so
had me
funny.
crying at a certain point where he was like, so what you're telling me is that women don't want a cowboy, they want a ranch hand? And I was like
Yeah, obviously. I know.
a man who works? Yeah.
It was so funny when he was like, we see him without his shirt all the time. It was like, but not like this.
Not
James.
like that.
No.
Not like that.
It's
That was
it's the
different.
energy. I mean, and it's intangible, but it's undeniable. When there's just an energy of like, wow, that man can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you take a top tier body and then put it with that kind of energy, like, yeah, it's going to be pretty overwhelming.
But it really is like with all bodies, it's like you want. I understand, you know, it's like it's modernity. You go to the gym to stay fit. You go to the gym to work on your muscles. It's fine. I get it. But you want to believe that a person with a body that you like, you want it to be like you don't think about that. You think about other things that you want to achieve in life, and they may yield muscles.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. It's like you want to tame a horse.
Yeah.
And like if muscles come from that. Like,
That's second. You may need muscles to tame the horse. Therefore, you develop them. But it's like the muscle, you want the muscle to follow the man, not the man to chase the muscle.
And I believe multiple people have said that people with very, very defined abs aren't actually that strong, that men that are truly, truly strong will have a layer of fat over the muscles. So I'm like, I think both of these men you could see like being so kind to an out of control stallion, but then like reaching up and pulling themselves onto the horse and holding on. I see it.
It's important that they also have a gentle, calming energy as well. Yeah, yeah.
Jack Perry is giving horse girl, actually. Yeah, that's right. My favorite, did anyone have a favorite horse movie growing up that you want to name right now? Because I want to name mine.
Go ahead.
Mine is called The Rogue Stallion, and it takes place in New Zealand. And it's about a girl whose family has a complicated relationship with the community because of things that happened with her father in the past. But luckily, she finds a horse that she can process all of that with.
A horse that understands
A horse
her.
that understands her, but also she has to navigate other stuff along with the horse. And she ends up in a pit at one point.
Wow.
Anyway, I guess we're supposed to vote on a body. I'm really happy with everything I'm seeing. Of course, it's going to be Hangman.
Yeah, I mean,
You know.
top seed versus almost lowest seed is, we know how it's going to go, but I think Jack Perry has nothing to be ashamed about.
No.
He made a great showing, and, when we let him out of that wine cellar, he'll be ready.
Yeah, when we
He'll be a top seed one day,
when we
maybe.
tear down that wall.
Mr. Gorbachev. Yeah. Hangman for sure, but put up quite a fight.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Great fight.
very respectable. All right. Our next one, Matt Jackson, our number 7 seed versus Takeshita, our number 10 seed. So, got those pictures of Matt Jackson revealing his new bod.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we all know where I'm going to go, but Takeshita really is, he's an underrated top bod. Like, I feel like people are constantly being like, he's a good wrestler. No, he's a hunk. I mean, he is a good wrestler, but
no, he's fucking shit in the ring, but his body is beautiful. He's a great wrestler and a great looker.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a nice, like, muscled but soft
Lovely
looking
soft,
body.
yes.
I think it looks
Lovely.
It
He
looks
doesn't have-
nice and
He doesn't have a single scary muscle.
No.
It's all good muscle.
But he's so strong and he's big.
Oh. Yeah.
yeah. It
Very
always
broad.
surprises me how big he is, actually.
This is an interesting matchup, though, because it's like, of course, part of what's going on with Matt Jackson is little beef, small beef.
Yeah.
When he's doing his little beef Northern Light suplexes and he's being so strong, but he's so small too. Wow. The perfect little pocket boy. Probably a normal height for a man, but when I see them on my screen.
I think our friend Nico once described him as perfectly marbled beef.
Yeah.
And I think of that every time I get to see him with his shirt up. I say, that's a perfectly marbled beef. Yes.
What I would pay for him at a steakhouse,
Oh,
couldn't afford it. Couldn't afford it.
I'd be washing dishes for hours.
You ordered that beef even though you knew you didn't have the cash.
Couldn't pay for
enjoyed
it.
it, and then, straight
I
to the kitchen.
shamefully said, waiter.
I think it's
I can't afford
I
that
think
beef.
cheerfully. It's like the waiter comes over, you're like, I'm not going to dine and dash, but no, I cannot pay. Please direct me to the dishes. It would be my pleasure to do the dishes. Thank you so much for a delicious meal. It's
just like a perfect little, like, cow, but fierce.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, solid, and but not insulting. Like, I feel like I'm sometimes insulting when I'm like, he's a beautiful cow, but he's
a classic little attitudinal mini cow. Boy, man.
girl.
Beautiful cow eyes.
Beautiful cow eyes,
The ancient Sumerians, cow eyes was the biggest compliment you could give somebody because they
Yeah.
thought cows had very beautiful eyes, which they do actually.
They do actually have beautiful, beautiful eyes.
The thing I'll say about Matt Jackson, the best thing for any man, again, is that he be happy with his body. And for all of us, you just want to feel good in your own body. That's amazing. I do like when he has less muscles on the outside than this. I like him.
As I was pulling these pictures, I was like, Helly's not going to enjoy these, actually. Like, look at the definition.
I know, and it's like he looked beautiful. He is perfect. But I think there were moments where perhaps he thought, this isn't my best bod, and I said, yes, it is. This actually is your perfect body. You've never looked better. You look fucking amazing. So it is, shall I vote? It's going to be Matt Jackson for me.
It's going to be also Matt for me.
Yeah, I think I have to go Matt on this one. But Takeshita looking great.
Takeshita, you did great. Yeah.
You've done nothing wrong. You've done
nothing wrong. You did beautiful. You're a beautiful man.
And a great wrestler. Thank you for your
If the
body.
seed had gone a different way.
Yeah, you easily could have made it
gone
through
another one.
to round 2, yeah.
We almost should have a loser's bracket of
Oh
all
my
the
God,
low
yeah,
seeds
run
that...
off. To
run
win.
off.
It's so great, the idea of someone being the winner of the losers bracket.
Congratulations on being the 8th best body in the company.
Again, next year when we do the round robin, that's going to be huge.
That's going to really...
I almost this week started figuring out what the rules would be, and I did set myself a reminder for February of 2026
Hell yeah.
to start prepping the bracket.
Hell yeah.
So I'm pretty excited about it. All right. Now we've got Max Caster, our number 3 seed, versus Christian Cage, our number 14 seed. Christian is making me miserable because he wears that turtleneck all the time, so there were not a lot of shirtless pictures available, although I could have found one, but instead I included a picture of him and Edge at a hockey game because I really had an experience when I found this picture. I was like, oh my God, have you guys seen this picture? Like, they look like just a couple of married dads out for date night, you know?
He looks incredibly cute. I mean, I want to tell you genuinely before you said that, I was going to be like, did you have shirtless options and you chose this picture instead because he looks so cute? If so, I support you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
There you go.
Like, he looks adorable. Yeah.
Great pick. Wow. And
Yeah,
a
and
great
Christian Cage did
haircut
only
for
make
Cope
it
there.
because-
I would recommend maybe going back to that one.
They both look really cute, actually, which is surprising. Yeah.
So true.
And do you want to speak to us about Christian Cage's body?
Yeah, I just, it was a fair question from Tim of how he made it when he's worn a sleeveless turtleneck for the past 2 to 3 years. But when he used to wrestle shirtless, I would constantly have the experience of just being like, oh my God, like I am so attracted to his body. He's just got a real DILF energy. He's got those great proportions again. He looks so tall when he's wrestling.
Yes.
Got good tits. Got
Honestly, he looks
chest
great
hair.
in those Ann Taylor turtleneck, sleeveless
He
turtlenecks,
does, yeah.
you know? He really pulls it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. And he does, like, he's another person that his muscles look very proportionate to his frame, you know? He
Yes.
doesn't look absurd. He doesn't look like, you know, I don't know. He just, it sits on him very well.
Yeah.
I wonder,
Yeah.
is he sort of built somewhat like Greg? They're both so long-limbed.
Interesting.
I think so, yeah, kind of. Like, as I was going through my picks, I was like, oh, I have a type pretty clearly, and it is kind of Greg body. So, even though I voted against him.
Well, you questioned yourself, Ann.
I did. I almost went back on it. I should have gone back on it, probably, but I didn't.
Now, one thing that Christian Cage does not have in common with Greg, teeny little nipples on this guy, little Tic Tacs.
That's true. He's got the
He does have
Tic Tacs,
those beautiful big pepperonis. Let's talk about Max Caster's body.
Now he's got pepperonis.
He's got pepperonis. Max Caster's, we have never been able to resist this body.
I know.
There have been moments in the history of our tenure as wrestling fans where we have borderline been mortified to say, I am so attracted to Max Caster right now. What he's saying, indefensible. The way he's behaving, indefensible. What I saw from him on Twitter today, indefensible. His body, I would take a bullet for. I would die for.
This body has gotten him out of so much trouble, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he should be in worse trouble, but I look at him and how am I going to stay mad?
Yeah.
This is why he's your dirtbag boyfriend.
Yeah.
You can't kick this guy out of the house. He hasn't paid rent in a year. He doesn't do the dishes. He doesn't do laundry. He doesn't contribute. He buys porn pay-per-views on your TV. You can't count the number of things that you're subscribed to that you're paying for on your credit card because he did it and you told him not to and you tried to cancel and then he re-upped. But you haven't kicked him out yet.
No.
Look at that body.
At All Out 21, Allie and I accidentally stayed at the same hotel as the
God,
wrestlers. And that first night we were there, we hadn't seen a ton of them yet. And we'd just gotten back from Rampage and we were talking to our friend Nicole in the hallway, about our plans for the next morning.
this.
And Max Caster came walking through, and I think all of our brains went off. So we're trying to have a normal conversation, and we don't want to interrupt him or say anything because it's
we're trying to keep our hands and feet inside the Jeep. You know, it's we're not trying to engage. We don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. But wow, it was an arresting body. It's hard
quite tall and
not
has
to
a
look.
great body, and we were all like, yeah, so tomorrow morning, I mean, we could get breakfast. Tomorrow. It was a real embarrassing moment for
Tomorrow
us.
is a day that, He looks so good. It's interesting. It's almost hard to describe. He has that softness. Even when his muscles are popping, he kind of has that softness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think his muscles have been popping a little more than I noticed lately because I was trying to find pictures that are more representative of his body to me, which is softer and juicier and just perfect. But yeah, even there looks good. He's got those same proportions too, where it's just nice shoulders.
Was it JR? Who said something about Max Caster's
Being
ass
bottom
that
heavy.
time? Do you remember that?
Yes, I think it was JR. Bottom heavy. Was
Bottom
Oh
heavy.
my God.
Bottom heavy.
was well.
There are moments where you are JR had low lows, but he had high highs too. And sometimes
That's
they almost
so true.
overlapped. You would be like,
Yeah,
absolutely
that's true.
shouldn't have said that, but it's amazing that you said it.
Well, it's like everyone thinks that we coined the good boy hole. Like, no, we're quoting JR when we say that.
Yep. It's, to me, Max Caster's body is absolutely undeniable.
Yeah, I mean.
He has my vote.
Yeah, mine as well. Unfortunately, he's gotten himself out of another scrape with that beautiful body.
Yeah.
I'm so deeply in debt. All my friends are begging me to dump it.
And it's like, but look at his body. I see it. I get to see it every day if I don't kick him out. I know, and I love Christian's body so much, but I have to go Max Caster also because it's just.
Oof. Wow, girls, we're in sync on this side.
Yeah,
We were not on the other side,
No.
but this side.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if it lasts.
I know. I'm interested in this.
She says
and this last
threateningly.
one is going to be.
I think the last one's going to be
fight.
tougher. We've got John Moxley, our number 6 seed, versus Roosh, our number 11 seed.
My God.
And I will say, for those of you in audio format, that, I found a little picture of Mox doing a little sassy kind of hip out with his hand pulling his pants down a little bit on one side so you can see his hip bone, and it wasn't a very high quality picture, so like last week I was like, I think I'm gonna swap this one out, but showed it to them and they were like, oh no, keep it in.
I freaked out. Like, I think it was like Max Caster in the hallway. My brain went offline. I was just like, ooh, I really can't function when I'm looking at that. Wowee.
Yeah.
Well,
To me, Mox has a really good body. Like, I was a little surprised he didn't get higher for you guys, because like for me, he's real high tier. But he's got a great softness, great proportions, great tits, chest hair.
I think
Sometimes he does it for me, and sometimes he doesn't. He's just not consistent.
I never know what Mox's body is going to show up on screen, and it's almost confusing sometimes. Where I'm like, it's only been a week since I saw you. And last week, your bosom runneth over. You looked so crazy juicy. And this week, I don't see them. I don't know where they went. And sometimes he slims down a lot. And then I like him less. I mean, I always like you, Mox. Even when others are mad at you, I like you. But just your body. Just speaking only of your body.
So true.
Let's look at Roosh. What do you see? When you look at Roosh, what do you see?
Well, I looked at him for too long, and now I'm pregnant.
You looked at him for too long, now he's pregnant.
Looking at his Instagram, it's just like so many pictures of him with a very ferocious look on his face, but also like holding a baby, like with the bottle and the baby's
Good.
Those are the best ones when his face looks exactly like he's giving one of the, I'm gonna kill you promos, but he's holding his tiny daughter and the caption is like, she learned to walk today or something.
It's like, mi princesa, yeah.
I'm obsessed with him.
Friend of the pod, Anna, when I took her to wrestling, her and Josh to wrestling, she saw Roosh and was just like, that's the perfect body. Just like within seconds of seeing, she was just like, oh, the perfect body is here.
It's so
He's
interesting.
arrived.
Like, Roosh doesn't really do it for me body-wise.
Wow.
I don't know.
He's so powerful, like a trunk, but sensual.
Yeah. This is really hard for me because I would say that Roosh's shape is so perfect especially when I look at this one where he's striding. It is like, I'm knocked up. But I do prefer, when I look over at Mox, I love that Mox has that chest hair. I love that Mox looks kind of scruffy normal a lot of times. Like, it's like that man was just noodling around in an alley, and then he stumbled into the ring with that body. That's beautiful.
I think he was actually the first one in AEW to start growing hair on his chest again.
Really?
If you think about it.
That could be, yeah. Because there was a resurgence, and it feels right that he might.
I'm proud of these men for growing out their body hair.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree.
I'm really torn, girls. I fear I know how both of you are about to vote, and I'm really torn.
I think you're going to be the
I don't like
tiebreaker.
that. I don't like to be the tiebreaker.
Yeah. No, it's for sure John Moxley for me. I don't have to think about it.
Yeah, I'm going Roosh.
Fuck me. Fuck.
That fertility god.
I know, dude. I know, but
But look at that sassy little slutty pose.
And then
He has a bull on his dick.
Mox's muscles are clearly from manual labor.
Oh God. I think that when I have to go with the number of like absolute gut punch awooga moments that I've had, even if it wasn't consistent, it's gonna be Mox. It's gonna be Mox because I think of I think of when he comes out in those t-shirts and you're just like, what the fuck? You have a D cup. So that, but I feel
those t-shirts this year.
I feel bad, and Rish, it's like maybe if you didn't wax your whole body, it would be different. That might have changed things. I'm sorry. Please don't unpregnant me.
Wow, a real fight for this one.
That scared me, but on another day, it could have gone another way.
Yeah,
so true. Of
maybe
all
if we had
these, really.
seen Roosh recently, he might be
Yeah.
more in your mind.
Yeah. I thought you meant in person. And I was like, yeah, I guess if I'd seen him in person. I guess if I'd been in a hallway with him, yeah. No, yeah, if I'd seen him on my TV, where I usually see men. Wow. I have to say, this side was...
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
There's some lookers on this side.
Thank you all for your bodies.
Thank you for your
Yeah.
bodies.
Incredible.
Thank you for your bodies.
Thank you for your bodies.
Yeah, moving on to round 2 next week. So it's going to be some...
That is really going to...
There's going
tough.
to be some hard choices.
Some
We're about
hard choices, yeah.
Hangman's about to go up against Matt Jackson, so...
That's going to be really tough for me because I'm really going to have to I think I'm going to be having conversations with myself about it all week.
I know. I really think we're going to have to think about... We may have to come up with some specific way to approach these conversations.
Yeah.
I don't know if Freeform is going to do it. I feel fear. I do feel fear.
Like we start at the top of the body and then just discuss moving down.
Next week we don't talk about wrestling whatsoever. We start from the
deep.
shoulders and go down to knees.
Oh my God. I do. That's an idea. What if I'd love to just go only knees. Just really zoom in on something like knees.
And award points and be like, well, Matt has nicer knees, so we'll have to give him the points there. But Hangman's elbows are quite shapely.
In this moment, I feel I've never noticed a single man's knees, and I have to see them.
All right, Allie, you're not prepared for this tournament at all.
I know. I have a whole week, Leah. I have a whole week to get ready.
Well, they so often have... I mean, you hardly ever see wrestlers bare knees
They
because
have
they're all wearing...
their knee pads. Oh my God!
Imagine if there was foot freaks, but instead they were knee freaks.
That could be us next week.
Once we've made a real study
Once
of
I
it,
start
we're
looking.
finding casual shoot pictures of them at the beach, but looking at their knees. Ooh.
I actually do think
And
the one wrestler's knees who I have looked at and thought about them is Dustin Chuck Taylor.
Of course, yeah.
And I think
What if we
his
start
are cute.
What if we start hopping in people's DM or mentions just to be post knee?
Knees. Gotta see the knees. Wiki knee.
Oh my God, could we found a kink? I know there's some subreddit out there that's just excuse me, we have been here. Wow, what a delight.
Patella files.
Files. It's a great website name. Yeah.
I'm so happy to be here doing this tournament with you guys. It's really amazing to see what we're working with, and we're so blessed.
We are blessed.
So many beautiful bodies to think about.
So many beautiful
Look at.
boys. All right. Was there anything you wanted to talk about that you did not get a chance to talk about?
I can't think of anything.
Amazing. Then, in that case, I've been Allie.
I've been in.
And I've been Leah.
This is Tunnel Talk. Our theme is by Chris Corkin. You can find us on Twitter, Tumblr, Twitch at Tunnel Talk Pod, via email, tunneltalkpod@gmail.com. We have merch now. You can find it at chop-tees.com. Verizon.com. Oh, we had some great merch chat on the Social Suplex Network Discord.
Good ideas.
Some great ideas, some great mock-ups. Thank you all for your humor and your skills. So you can find us on our feed. You can find us on the Social Suplex Network feed, where you can check out some of the other amazing podcasts on the network. You can find us on the aforementioned Social Suplex Network Discord. Please rate, review, and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. Stay frosty. And as always, please come back next week.
Your old or broken phone can let you down when you need it most.
Perfect.
But at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get the most for it, up to $2,000 in value, for an amazing new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and a new line on My Plan, and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1. And you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.